Dale, you have definitely over the course of the years, you have had wild success. And you've shared with me that you've also fallen flat on your face and picked yourself up again and
Well,
rebuilt or restarted and you've built a great successful life and business. So Dale,
yeah.
we're going to talk
Mm.
today about overcoming failure and turning it into a win come heck or high water.
Yeah, I've actually fallen on my face more than once. So I might be able to help with some other people that may be struggling with some things.
And some of them have been pretty big.
Yeah.
And you've also created big change in your career. Let's start with one of
Yes,
the biggest ones. So you used to be in corrections.
that is correct. Yeah. I
Um,
was head of security at the local jail, and I answered to the warden, and I was doing a little real estate investing at the time. We had a new warden that came in, and I knew one of us was going to leave, and I knew it wasn't going to be the new warden. So
how long had you had that career?
10 years. Yeah. I was in.
Okay, so you'd been in there for 10 years. And did you love it? Were you
There
planning on staying in it longer?
There are aspects of it that I really did love, and then there were some aspects, just like not everything's, rainbows and unicorns. For the most part, yes, I did. I loved it. Yeah, it was never a dull moment for sure.
And so you had a new warden come in and the writing was on the wall. And
Yeah,
you just knew that either
we just weren't going to get along.
they weren't going to want you to stay or you were not going to want to stay.
Exactly.
And you ended up leaving that position.
Yep, sure did. Drove me
So
into
that
real
was
estate
a big
investing
change.
deeper. Yeah. At the time, I had done a little bit of real estate investing, and at that time, I had always thought about getting my license so I could be closer to the deals. And
Hmm.
so that was just the push I needed to go ahead and do that. But going from from a guaranteed income to a non-guaranteed income was a pretty drastic step.
Right.
Yeah. And started selling real estate and got my license and started working the business.
So you ended up building, I believe you said you started off with your investing buying single family homes.
Correct.
Were you getting single families? And tell us a little bit about the portfolio that you built up and how that was going.
Well, I'd read several books. I didn't have anybody that was kind of teaching me at the time. It was all self-taught, reading books and I thought I knew what I was doing. Uh, I ended up building up a portfolio of about 11 or 12 single family rental units and using other people's money, as they say. And I had acquired every single one of them without spending a dime of my own money. The challenge that I had is that they were all either even cash flows or just not great cash flows.
Hmm.
And I just I just weren't buying the right properties. I was trying to. There was ego involved in that as well. I'll buy that. Yeah, I think I can make that work. And I made all the common mistakes that a lot of investors make. I can fix that house for $2,000. Oh, I can get.
$18,000 later.
Yeah, and I can get $1 million in rent, and all the different things that happened, just not analyzing them correctly because I didn't know what I was doing.
Here's another one. It's in such a great location, it'll never be vacant.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and and then other aspects of it is daughter's going to college now and she needs a place to live. We'll just buy her something and she can rent from us for half the price. And if it's a negative cash flow,
Right. Right.
okay, and she's there for 6 months and then college didn't work out and you can't.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
all sorts of stories that of all the
Yeah.
mistakes that you make when you think you know what you're doing and you don't. And so you learn the hard way. And then the market crashed. I just have a character that I couldn't do it to people where I'd put them in the house knowing that it was being foreclosed on. At least I'm going to get some money until it foreclosed. And then sorry about your luck. I couldn't do that to people. So,
Right.
and the market crashed. There were some other changes in my life at that time too. And I actually went through a divorce and she got the main house and I got all the investment properties. That's how the divorce was done.
Right.
In order to do that, I had to refinance every single one of them to get her name off of them. So here comes another bunch of money for all the closing costs to refinance 12 different houses.
Yes.
Right. So now the minimal positive cash flow that I had was now a negative cash flow. And with the market tanking, couldn't liquidate them for what I paid for them because I didn't analyze them correctly. And so I ended up with 9 foreclosures out of the 11 properties. And that really stunk. That put a damper on a lot of things, but it was definitely a learning experience, and I know how to live on ramen noodles if I have to.
You became a ramen noodle chef.
Yeah, I came a ramen noodle. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just curious, during that time, what sort of impact did that have on your self-confidence, your self-esteem, the viewpoint that you had in yourself in your whole career now, which was all real estate? What was the impact on you of you went from being this, I'm an investor, I'm making it happen, I'm doing these refis, I'm building this portfolio, and then you have 9 foreclosures. What did that do to your mental health?
Well, I had always been the type of person that I believe I can be successful in anything that I want to do. I've always had that subconscious mental attitude, that drive. Did this hit that a little bit? Yes, it certainly did. But I knew with time and effort, I can overcome anything to make up always had. I'd always been successful at anything I ever tried and anything I ever did. And this is the one time where it wasn't. And I went,
Hmm.
okay, wait a minute, maybe I don't have it all right. And yes, there were some mental aspects of it that made me rethink a little bit. Yet I just was driven, just started really pounding it into real estate industry and ended up teaming up with a couple other people that we at the time REOs were starting to build and doing REOs was starting to build. And I got involved with a couple other people and we formed this little team because the rainmaker for the team was actually getting more assignments for REOs than he could actually handle. So he asked for help.
And just so people know, REO is
Bank on.
a house or property that is owned by the bank. So it's post foreclosure, and the bank or lender has retaken possession of that house.
Yes.
And you are a realtor, and you with your partners, you created a real estate team where you specialized in working directly with those banks to sell off their inventory of homes they own.
Yeah. Actually, we were actually working for what we call asset management companies.
Right.
Banks used to have
But
their
I just,
own
in case
REO
someone's
department.
listening to us that's in management or leadership, I just wanted them to understand what we're talking about.
Oh,
So
sure.
you
Yeah.
weren't meeting with Mary and Joe that were
Right.
going to sell their house they lived in. You were
Right.
dealing with asset managers that worked for banks that were selling off post
Right.
foreclosed homes. So
Yes.
it's different than working with the regular public in real estate.
Severely different. Severely
Yes.
different. Yeah. Yes. We did that for years and we became very successful in that. However, that industry, that aspect of real estate is kind of tough. There's a lot of paperwork and
Yes.
documentation that has to go along with that. And then the way that you get paid is severely less than what you would get paid on if it was a retail house, mom and pop house.
Right.
And so we did quite a bit of business, but didn't make a lot of money. But we were known as and got very successful at that. And that helped get over that hump of the. And it's kind of ironic about investment properties. And most people that invest in properties invest in REOs and
Right.
bank owned properties. And so it's kind of ironic that I had this crash in my life that dealt
Yeah.
with investment properties. And actually, one time we were assigned one of my old houses to resell
Oh,
it in
wow.
REO. So
Right.
so it's kind of a little bit ironic on that part of it. But we got started into that and started to have some success in there, and we were starting to get pretty well known. In fact, we're ranked seventh in 2009. This is back in 2009. We were ranked seventh in the nation for the number of transactions that we did.
Hmm.
For the company we were associated with at the time.
Right.
And but my 1099 was my year end pay after I figured it all up was probably 20% of what I should have earned for selling as many houses as we did
Hmm.
because of the way that was split and the company I was associated with and things like that. And then we knew that we were on kind of the company we were with because the market had pretty well crashed, or come close to crashing. We knew that the broker of that particular organization he just wasn't into it. And we knew that. And we knew we were on a sinking ship. We were just waiting.
Right.
he was the son of the people that owned it originally. He was waiting for mom and dad to die. Dad had passed away, but mom was still around. That's the only reason he kept the brokerage open. And we were doing
Hmm.
63% of his business. And his mother finally passed away. And we knew that, we started looking for a different company to go with. We went in one day on a Thursday and said, "Hey, Steve, we're just letting you know we're moving over to another brokerage." And he wished us the best of luck and everything like that. That Friday, he put an announcement out to everybody that was with the brokerage saying, "We're having an emergency meeting on Monday and you need to arrive, at such time, such a place." So I
Right.
called, "Do we need to be there?" And he says, "Well, that's up to you. I'll leave it up to you." So one of us, my wife Elizabeth, went to this meeting. She was part of our group. And they walked in with their yellow jackets, and Century 21 had bought his brokerage.
Oh, yeah. So they were rebranding.
His
He had
ex-wife.
changed franchises.
Well, he sold his business to his ex-wife
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
that already owned a Century 21 office. And he did
Right.
that.
Okay.
He did that the day after 63% of his business just walked out.
Went out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just got one more jab at his ex-wife, and we moved over to another brokerage. And when we did that, we had lost every bit of our bank-owned property business because the companies we were dealing with, they don't update their systems. They still try to send you stuff to where you were before, and we weren't getting it anymore. And if you don't meet certain metrics, your grade goes down. They
Right. And then you're cut off from
and then
the
you're cut
leads.
off. And
Yeah.
before you knew it, we weren't doing bank owned properties anymore. And that was a shocker where all of a sudden we knew that we had to get into people's mom and pop's dining room and living room and sit down and talk to people. And we hadn't done that in years.
Right.
And so we had always been educational based in our philosophy. We started going to everything that we could possibly do about learning that it was almost like being a brand new agent again, just coming out of pre-licensing course, because we hadn't done it in so long. And that was a mindset shift as well. But again, I always had the philosophy that I could be successful in anything I want to do. My wife, well, just to back up a little bit, the gentleman that was involved with us, his name was Jack Evans. He actually passed away near that time too,
Hmm.
which didn't help on the bank owned properties when.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So Elizabeth and I knew we had to start over. So we started delving into as much training as we could possibly get involved with, and just started working it the right way, the way we're supposed to work it, following the systems that we were being trained at. And within about 4 years, we were ranked in the top 5 in our county for the number of transactions that we were doing.
And now this was regular residential real estate. You were
Yeah.
helping regular
Hmm.
homeowners that need to move or
Hmm.
want to move. And so you let go of your bank asset manager conversation skills and you learned how to talk to the clients, the heart of real estate,
Exactly.
residential business, and you developed those skills and you started banking again.
Yeah. Gave up
And
that
at this
niche and
time,
started over.
then you also started making an amount of money that would allow you to live in the market where you lived.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I sell real estate to travel. Not, I'm not into Maseratis and things like that. We love to travel. So, and that's the lifestyle that we want.
But I want to get into because there has to be a psychological impact. Now, it sounds like you have coping mechanisms for all of it, but share with people how you did that. So, when you are waking up and you're like, oh, I can't put tenants in these properties, I'm in the foreclosure process. I am going to lose my real estate portfolio. And then you start losing them. Then you have to relist as a realtor that is working for the banks, one of your old rental properties. How did you keep your mindset strong during the times that were really dark? Because there had to be some dark times there.
Yes. Yeah. There were
So what did
definitely.
you actually do? What did you do to keep yourself from wallowing in a pit of despair? How did you keep moving forward?
Because we were always learning based, I had gotten more into the books of the power of positive thinking and the Tony Robbins and
Hmm.
the things like that. Those kind of things that kept the mindset the where it needed to be, because I knew it all starts with mindset. If you don't have the
It
right,
does.
if you don't have the right mindset, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. You're not going to be successful at it. And I had always told myself, I've always had a track record of having success with anything I wanted to do. So this is just another setback. I have a saying that some days you're the pigeon, some days you're the statue, and yes,
Right.
we're
Right.
having a lot of statue days, but I knew if I just do what I'm supposed to do, the way I'm supposed to do it, I will be successful again, because I've done it in the past. And
It,
always having the mindset of you've got to be better than you were before.
right. So you kept improving your skills. And how important was it to have that vision of this isn't me, this is the current situation, and I will build to the dream? Like, how important was it for you to keep a big picture dream of the future, regardless of what was happening in that given day? Was that part of how you made it through?
Of course, yeah. And my wife and I, because it was both of us, so we were, it was both of us eating ramen noodles, kind of thing. So her supporting me and me supporting her was a large factor of that. Both of us sitting together, because if you have one that's, oh no, what are we going to do? And oh my gosh, we're never going to
Right.
overcome this. And the other one's saying, yes, we can, yes, we can, yes, we can. That conflict is no good. We both agreed at the time, okay, here's what we're facing. What are we going to do about it? Plain and simple. What are we going to do about it? Then let's just do it. And let's
So you
just
stayed focused on action as well.
stay
So
focused on
learning,
action.
keeping a positive vision, and
Mhm.
staying in action.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I noticed during that time, because I started coaching agents in 2009,
Mhm.
and one of the things I noticed is some of our colleagues, and this is human nature, their entire self-worth was tied up in my real estate portfolio, or
Right.
their self-identity became interwoven with their success, either in investing or in selling real estate. And when it was too interwoven, there's some of our colleagues that unfortunately left the industry
Yeah.
or lost everything and have not recuperated. Or maybe you and I don't even know, because we ended up losing touch with them, not because we wanted to, but just the nature of life.
Yes.
But that is when it becomes more devastating. So it sounds to me like you knew that you were facing some mistakes, failure, disappointment, hardship, heartache, a headache, all of those things in that moment. But it sounds like you didn't necessarily assign that to mean that that's who you were as a person.
Oh, of course not.
You
No,
were still confident in who you were and your core values. And
exactly.
this was a situation that you were going to move through. It was not defining you.
Exactly. With every obstacle, there's an opportunity, right?
So I know if anyone who's listening to us right now that has even dreamed about being in real estate investing, or they've done it and they made mistakes and then they're like, never again. I want you to go back to, you've got 9 foreclosures. I'm sure your credit took massive hits. Your income was
Yeah.
really low, because I believe the one year when you had the over, what was it, 237
Mhm.
sales, whatever that was, your income was less than 100,000. Ask anyone on the street, hey, if a real estate agent sells 200 and something houses, how much money do you think they made? They wouldn't say less than 100,000 or less than 75,000, right?
It was
So your
62,000 to be
income,
exact.
that's right. So yeah, so income's down, credit's shot, you lost 9 properties, you've got the foreclosures on your permanent record. So take us to the day where you're like, I'm ready, I'm buying my next investment property. How did you actually do
Oh,
it? Because most people listening to us right now, I'm going to assume, would think once you've got 9 foreclosures, you can never buy another house. How did you buy that next house after the catastrophe?
you started small. I started small, something that we had enough cash, but at the same token, that was 2009. We didn't really buy another investment property until probably 7 or 8 years later, after we
Okay.
started doing things.
All right. So
So by that
you
time,
paused.
yes.
That's right. So you rebuilt, you relearned, you went through okay. So it was around
Yeah.
7 or 8 years later.
Yeah.
And then you were systematically putting cash aside.
Correct.
And when the right opportunity presented itself, starting at a lower price point,
Mhm.
you paid cash for that next investment property.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was a fixer-upper. So we fixed it up, put it back on the market. We didn't want that one as a rental because we just didn't feel it was a good fit.
So you flipped it.
So we flipped it. Yes. And then with that
Okay.
cash, that led to other opportunities and things like that, and just started building from there. And by that time, 7 or 8 years later, there's the philosophy: if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. So if we
Right.
would have kept doing the wrong things to rebuild the credit, we'd never be able to buy another house.
Right.
But we started working on credit repair as well,
Mm-hmm.
just making sure that we didn't overextend ourselves. All the bills were paid on time, and things like that, just to rebuild that credit. Not that I actually went to some credit repair company or something like that. Just
Right.
we
You
knew
just
how to
started
rebuild.
building the
Yeah,
positive history.
exactly.
And that was a main focus for both you and
Yeah.
your wife. You were like, this is a non negotiable. Like you were going to live within your means or below, and you were going to pay everything on
Mhm.
time to rebuild that history.
And even though we have not borrowed to buy any future investment properties.
That was my next question. So from that point forward, and so explain a little bit more about that. So is it just that you have flipped that first one, you paid cash and flipped the first one,
Mhm.
and then you used the proceeds from that to pay cash for the next? Like,
Correct.
did you just start building and then increased as you went
Correct.
along?
Yep.
Have you, because I believe you now have rebuilt how many doors? Because now you have a portfolio of rentals, correct?
Yeah, it's not as many as I like right now because we've been doing more flips than holds.
Okay.
So we've been focusing more on the cash
So
flow.
you switched
Yeah,
strategies and you were like, you know
exactly.
what, we're going to go
We
more
went
for
short-term
the
investing.
dynamic
Yeah,
strategy with the flipping rather than the more static of the holding.
right. Yeah.
But so from that time, so did you get a mortgage to buy your primary residence after the 9 losses?
No, this is still the house
Okay.
that we were living in at the time.
So you're Warren Buffetting that thing, right? You're like, you're got it and you're keeping it.
We love it. We love it. We love where it's
That's
at.
great.
We have, we've done things to it and remodeled it and things
Yeah.
like that to make it exactly the way we want and things like that. So,
I think this is important
yeah.
to hear because I know you and I both know, and we've both had experiences being in real estate as long as we have been. It's important for people to hear that you were able to still achieve the dream of
Mhm.
flipping real estate, creating wealth through real estate, having your career in real estate, even though you had what many people would call like a catastrophic loss. And you just, as you said, you picked up, you learned a new way to do it, a different
Yeah.
way to do it. It wasn't new, but a different way to do it. And you've still made it happen.
Yeah. There's been several cliffs that we've fallen off of,
Hmm.
down in the valleys, and you just keep hiking out of the valley, but it's perseverance and the mindset. The mind first and foremost, you
Yeah.
have to have the mindset before you can take the action.
Well, and that's the whole, this podcast, the inner estate. That's what it
Mhm.
means. That
Yeah.
your inner estate is your mindset. And how are you going to talk to yourself every day? How are you going to get yourself to stay in action,
Mhm.
and have that mindset of I am more than my most recent mistakes. I
Exactly.
am valuable and I can move forward, staying in what's important to me in terms of character and values.
Well, in most cases, if you're not making mistakes, you're not doing anything, right?
That's right.
So,
That's right.
yeah. So, I just hope that people are smarter than I was, on what they do, and they can recover faster than it does. But yeah, you just keep driving. You can't let setbacks, determine. You can't let a minor mistake in the past. Well, not a minor mistake, a major mistake in the past determine what the rest of your life looks like.
That's right.
So you make
And it can be like, was there any part of you that was scared to, touch the stove again that it might be hot when you were going to buy that
the first one.
first property?
It had
Yeah.
to be a no-brainer. It had to be a no-brainer. And,
Hmm. And it
no,
was.
yeah, like zero risk,
Hmm.
and it was a no-brainer. So we've always had a
Uh,
philosophy that you could be anywhere you want to be in 5 years, right?
yes, that's
So,
right. Yes.
so we went in with that philosophy too. Hey, this is not going to fix overnight. We had
Mhm.
realization. We knew it wasn't going to be fixed overnight. We knew that we had the mindset to be able to get through it. Now we just needed the action plan to get through it.
Right.
And that's what we developed was the
The
action plan
action
to get through it.
plan, yeah, and the mindset, and just to keep going. So it is well, and I'll say one asterisk beside you can be anywhere in 5 years. You can be anywhere or create anything you desire within 5 years, as long as there's a year 2.
Yeah.
Because what I mean is some people every year is year 1.
Right.
So they're, "Okay, now I'm gonna do it this way, and now I'm gonna do it," and they just always start or analyze or, and they never have a year 2 to
Exactly.
get in year 3 and year 4 and year 5.
Yeah. You can't have 5 year
And,
runs. Yeah.
yeah, so, yeah, like, if every year is year 1, that would be an issue, but yes, you can create that, and it's amazing because we overestimate often what we can achieve in 1 year, and we underestimate what we can achieve in 5.
Exactly.
But I wanna share with everyone listening that you're making big changes in your life even now
Yeah.
because you are taking everything you've learned, from being in corrections, making that career change that was not necessarily at the time and in the manner that you had planned.
Mm.
Investing in real estate, I'm gonna say losing it all, even if it
Mhm.
was maybe you lost, 92%, that was a significant and major obstacle that you overcame. Rebuilding again and having that whole bank business and rebuilding again. You are now starting a new chapter,
Eh,
coaching and working with others that are facing. It might be a different situation, but have the same desire that regardless of what's happened in their past, they want to create and have an impact on their future,
mhm.
and you are guiding them and assisting them to accelerate that process or create efficiency or more profitability, or whatever it is that's important to them. So, as you become this coach that is taking the arsenal of experience, tools, and strategies, and you're going to be sharing that and impacting others, tell me what you're excited about.
The opportunity to get back, the opportunity to get back. As going through all of this, it was never just me and Elizabeth. There was always others supporting us, whether it was our coach, our personal coach, or some other mentor, or some other friends, agents, whatever the case may be, going through the real estate, helping us along the line whenever we had questions, what systems and models work best. And, we've always had assistance and guidance if we needed it. Now it's my opportunity to give that back. That excites me the most, is that doing for somebody else what some other people have done for us.
Have done for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which, by the way, we're talking about you're doing this now with a renewed structure and effort, but you've always been doing this. So as you've been an active member in your real estate community,
Mhm.
people have sought you out and they have come to you for assistance and advice. So it's
Yeah.
just that you're going to do it in a more concentrated, dedicated fashion now.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. The people come to me other people come to me all the time. Because they know that you may not like everything I have to tell you, but it's going to be 100% the truth, you know,
Right.
and whether
Right.
you can handle that, I can't help it if you can't
Right.
handle the truth, you can't handle the truth. Um,
That's right.
but, and so they know that is
Yeah.
that I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. I'm going to tell you just the way it is.
Yeah.
And if that works for you, great. And if that doesn't, I'm sorry, but
Dale, if anyone is still listening to you and I talk and they are facing, they had a divorce, or as in my case, divorces with an S, or they have lost a property, or um, they made a bad choice, getting into a side hustle or investing in a business and they lost 50 grand. If anyone
Mhm.
out there, or they're fighting with the IRS and they're behind on filing their taxes, just whatever someone is facing out there, they attempted to open their own business and it failed. And now they feel like all they can do is the job they have. What would you say to anyone out there who is feeling as if, because of their past or mistakes or things that didn't go the way they anticipated, they now have limitations on their future? What would you say to them?
Everything's temporary. Everything's temporary. Life technically is temporary. So whatever your success, if not followed up on correctly, is temporary. Your tragedy is temporary. Your setbacks are temporary. It's how do you react to that, and what plan of action do you take? Do you develop to get out of that temporary phase of your life or situation? Everything's temporary. So don't tell me how I can't do something. Tell me how I can. So, um, and that would be, the biggest question I have, um, for them is what can you do
Right.
to rectify this? So what's the plan? Or are you just
How
going to walk
important is it
in mud?
to reach out to others? How important are other people in making it happen?
The right people.
Yeah.
It's important to have the right people that are in your corner. Misery loves company. So if you're having something bad, trust me, everybody wants to relate to that. And I know exactly what you're talking about because my uncle's second cousin's brother's sister
Right.
did this.
Right.
And but having the right people, not the people that are going to put their arm around you and I feel so bad for you and yes, and I'm going to hold you down by putting my arm around you. Who are the ones that are going to say, "Okay, get off the pity pot and
Yeah.
let's put on our big pants and let's move forward."
Mhm.
What does that look like? But having the right people, yes, is critical. Coach, a guide, a mentor, a counselor, whatever title you want to put on.
Well, and there's so many ways to build success, and there's so many opportunities, and just I
Exactly.
agree with you. Don't don't allow the past to hold you back from what's possible in the future.
Exactly.
And being so careful. It's funny that comes up so often on this podcast. Maritza Davilo was a previous guest, and she just is so passionate. She's like, be careful who you share your dreams with, because guess what? You're surrounded by dream crushers. And the
Exactly.
surprising thing, Dale, is a lot of times they're the people that love you the most.
They think they think they're helping you.
They think they're protecting you.
They think they're
Yes.
helping you,
Right.
protecting
So
you,
you
and
gotta be so careful. If anyone is facing that, I'd recommend that and I'll put a link to it, to Maritza's episode. But yeah, be careful. You and I share a common mentor in our industry, Gary
yeah.
Keller, the
Mhm.
Keller of Keller Williams. And he says that your life becomes the average of the 5 people you spend the
I'll say
most
that
time
too.
with. And this is a factor of time. So saying this isn't about love, it's literally the people you spend the most time with. And so really be judicious and careful
Yeah.
about who are the people you're spending the most time with.
Yeah, you have to be mindful.
So yeah, if we can, I'd encourage anyone listening to this, and that's not just in professional life, that is your life overall.
Exactly.
So yeah, really, really think about who you're seeking counsel from, who you're receiving coaching and mentoring from, and be really careful about who you share your dreams with.
Exactly.
Um, and I think it's really important.
Birds of a feather flock together, so to speak. So if you're with the right
Yeah,
flock, you will
yeah,
fly with that flock. So
that's right.
watch the flock.
All right. Well, Dale, all of your contact information is in the description wherever you're consuming this episode. I want to thank you so much for being our guest today and sharing what you've been through.
Well, my pleasure. I hope your listeners get something out of this, and maybe they can avoid some of the mistakes I made.
Yeah.
But
And
if they do make them, they can overcome them as well.
that's right. That's right. Even if they don't avoid it, you can overcome. That is just the most critical message to get out there. And if you're listening to this episode of The Interstate, I hope you'll come back for the next one. Have a great day.